Hey all, do you know one thing? Sid was always curious about the world around him. One day, while visiting a hospital, he saw a receptionist entering patient details on a computer. Another time at the bank, he noticed the cashier managing all the transactions seamlessly. Even at the supermarket, billing was so quick. And of course, while booking a train ticket online, Sid couldn't stop wondering. How are all these places handling such huge amount of data so smoothly? He finally understood that it's through interfaces that application interacts with the database. Python provides us the power to connect with MySQL and manage data. And in today's video, just like Sid, we too are going to learn and explore the concept of Python MySQL interface. We studied Python and we studied one database that is nothing but MySQL. But we don't show our database to everybody. That's why through program we manage that database. That only we need to study how to handle databases through Python programming. For that, here are the steps. Let's check out one by one. Obviously, to write program we need some IDE. So we will start the Python. We are going to connect two different softwares, Python with MySQL. For that we need one connector. The name of the connector is mysql.connector. So with the help of import statement we are going to import this module which will give us different functionality for the connectivity. You can see here this name is little longer and complicated. So to make it simple and small we can give alias to it. Just like MySQL we can give this as keyword. So now the command will look like import mysql.connector as sql-con. This is nothing but an identifier. We know some modules will be inbuilt but some we need to install. This MySQL connector also we need to install, that we can do using pip before using it. It's a command to install any module. Alright, let's proceed to the next step. Now we are establishing the connection between MySQL and Python. For that we will be using connect function of this module mysql.connector. Connect function takes 4 parameters. The first one is host, second one is user, the third is password and fourth one is the database. We need to just keep in mind host will be localhost and user will be root. These two values will be fixed. But what about the password? This is the password which you have entered while installing MySQL software. No need to worry about these 3 parameters. Generally it will be mentioned in the question. Now let's check out the fourth parameter. It is database. On which database you have to work, that name you will be mentioning here. It is an optional parameter. If you are not working with database, you can skip it. But generally we work with the database because tables will get created in the database itself. So with the connect function we will be creating one connection object. So this is nothing but an identifier. Let's give some name to it, that is MyDB. With that step connection got established between Python and MySQL. Now let's move ahead. We need one cursor which will process the records row by row. For that we are going to use cursor function. Obviously, this cursor function will work on the connection object. So look at the syntax, connection object dot cursor. It doesn't take any parameter. So with that we are going to create one cursor object. Let's give it a name, cursor. Connection got established and we are ready to process the records too. But how we will get the records? For that we will write the query. We will be writing query and using execute function we will be executing it. We know that cursor is going to process that records row by row. That's why it works with the cursor object. So look at one simple example. Cursor.execute select star from employee. So after the execution of the query, we will get the result set. It means we will get the records. Now there is a category of fetch function which will decide how many records you want. You want all the records or you want limited records. In that category, the first is fetch all. It will fetch all the records, that too in the form of list of tuples. But if you don't want all the records, there is an option of fetch one. It will only extract or fetch one record. And if there are no records, it will return none. There is one more option with the help of which you can extract some specific number of records. The name is fetch many. You will be providing the parameter n, that is nothing but the number of records. Look at the syntax. This function works with the cursor object. Fetch all, fetch one and fetch many. There is one more property associated with the cursor object, that is called as row count, which will count the number of rows retrieved by the cursor. So this is how it will work. It will give the count of the records. Alright, we know when we establish the connection, we need to close it. For that we will be using close function, which works with the connection object. Alright, now let's try to write one program by assembling all the steps together. Here we are writing a program which will show the databases. So the first step is to import MySQL.connector. Second step is to connect. Third step is to create cursor object. These three steps will be same. After that, in the fourth step, we will execute the query using cursor object, followed by fetching the records. Here we are fetching all the records and printing it. So look at the output. We will get the list of tuples. It is a list of tuples of all the databases because the query is show databases. You might have noticed that the 4 parameter we skipped because we are not working on any specific database. The same concept goes with show tables. Now we cannot skip database because the tables are in the database itself. This query is important. Select query. As we discussed, the first 3 steps will be fixed. Importing module using connect function and creating cursor object. This step is also fixed. Executing the query. Here we are displaying all the records from the EMP table. With fetch all we got all the records and one by one we are printing it. Look at the output. We are getting the tuples. If you want to fetch one record, you can use fetch one. If you want specific number of records, that also you can write it. We have mentioned 3, that's why we are getting 3 records. I would suggest to write these steps on paper and practice it. Ultimately, you have to write it in the exam. Now let's check out how to write insert query. These 3 steps are same. Hope you remember the insert query. Insert into table and here are the values. Make a note of it. Inside the query we will be using single quote. That's why when you are writing query, make use of triple quotes. Then there will be no doubt between single quote, double quote and the triple quotes. Otherwise you will get into trouble. So include query in triple quotes and write single quotes inside. Alright, with the insert query we are changing something in the database. So to save that changes permanently, we will be using one command, that is nothing but commit. It reflects the changes in the database. It is one of the TCL language. It is nothing but transaction control language. We already discussed 2 types of language, DDL and DML. This is the third one. It works with the database connection object because we are changing into the database. Hope you understood this explanation. You might have noticed we did not use any fetch function. Why? Because with the help of select only you will get some result set, right? Not with the insert command. So whenever there is select, there will be fetch functions. If you feel writing query here with the execute function is getting complicated, you can store it in one variable and then write the name of the variable in the execute function. Because sometimes the query will be too long. Some of the important queries we discussed like select, insert. Now let's discuss update too. These 3 steps are fixed. Here is one update query. Make sure you are enclosing the query in triple quotes. After executing, we are committing it so that the changes will reflect in the database. In the same way, we can write the delete query too. Make sure you know the format of delete query. Don't get confused. We know that these 3 steps are same. Here is the delete query. Delete from student personal where roll number equals to 104. Let's execute this query and commit. Now let's try to understand how to create table, insert records into it and display. So here are the 3 steps. Now let's write the query to create table. Create table product, product ID, product name, price. Let's execute this query. Table got created. It's time to insert data into it. So we are inserting 2 records, not many. This we generally write in the form of loop because many records we need to enter. This is just to understand the concept. Insert into table name, product, values, first value, second value and third value. Now let's write one query with the help of which we can display the records of the table. So here is the select query. Select star from product. We are displaying all the records. With the help of select you get the result set. So whenever there is a select query, then you will be using one of the fetch function to decide how many records you need to fetch. Here we are using fetch all, and using for loop we are printing records one by one. Look at the output. We are getting it into the tuples. Here we are using insert command. It means you are changing something into the table. So you should use commit so that the changes will get saved permanently. Finally we will close the connection. Commit and close will work with the connection object, that is nothing but MyDB in our case. You can give any name but try to give meaningful so that you will not get confused. Execute and fetch all function works with the cursor object. We understood that when we want to enter many records, we will be using loop, and to enter records generally we will input the data, because directly we cannot write values of each record. We will take the input and using loop we will enter the records into the table. So how to pass this input to the query? That is nothing but parameterized query. And in the program we understood whenever we design the query, it is in the form of string. So if we want to format the string, we will be using the concept of formatting the string. For formatting, two options we can use. First the old style with the % symbol and the new style with the format function. If you already know how to format the string, you will easily understand this. Wherever you want to place the string, for that you will be writing %s, and the name of the variable we mention in the form of tuple followed by the % symbol. The same logic we are going to apply here also. So look at one simple query. Insert into product values. There are 3 values we need to provide. So we are writing 3 times %s. After completing the codes, we need to provide the variable name. Don't forget to write the % symbol. So here is PID, PName and price. The values will get replaced at the place where we have mentioned %s. In this way, with these values, one record will get inserted into the table. Why we are doing all this? Because we need to insert many records. So we will be taking the input and providing the variable name with the loop. Then we can insert many records into the table. So this is how it will look like. You are taking the input and passing the variable name. With that concept, you can write any query. Here is the update query and here is the delete query. If there is only one value, you can skip these brackets. Now let's understand the another way of formatting, that is nothing but using format function. This also you will easily understand if you would have used it for formatting of the string. This function is associated with the string. So this is nothing but our string. Then using dot apply this method format. In this case, wherever you want to replace this value, you will be writing one placeholder. That placeholder is indicated by the curly brackets. It means what? 101 will get replaced here. Look at the query now. Select star from product where PID equals to 101. If that value you are taking in a variable, write the variable name. So use format method of the string and write the placeholder. Then with that concept you can write any query. Here is update query, insert query as well as delete. Wherever you want to replace the value, write the placeholder. Note one thing, wherever there is a string value, you will be enclosing that placeholder in the single quote or in the double quote. But always to write query, use triple quotes to avoid complications. Placeholders can be anywhere. Look at this update query. Update product, set price equals to this and PID equals to this. So the first value always will get replaced at the first placeholder and the second value will get replaced at the second placeholder. Order and the sequence you need to maintain. Hope you understood the whole logic of creating the connection between MySQL and Python. Alright, let's come to VS Code. Some modules will be inbuilt. We can use them directly, but this MySQL dot connector we must install. Then only we can use it. For that we will be using the command pip install mysql.connector-python. Look at the message, I have already installed, so I am getting this message. If you want to check out the list of the modules, you can use this command pip list. Look at the list of the modules. MySQL.connector is also one of them. Now we can use the methods from that module which is used for connectivity. Let's write the program to display a list of database. For that the first step is to import that module and we are giving one nickname to it using as. In the second step we are using connect method of the module mysql.connector. The first parameter is host, second is user and the third is password. Here we are displaying list of databases. We are not working on any particular database, that's why we skipped the fourth parameter. Moving ahead, here is the third step to create a cursor instance. Now we need query to display a list of databases. For that the query is show databases that we will be writing using execute method. We know that with this command we will get a list of databases. It means we need fetch all function to get that data. And finally we are printing it. Now let's execute and check the output. Look at the output. We got all the databases in the form of list of tuples. If you want to cross check, come to MySQL. Write the same command show databases. You will get the same list of databases. Hope you got an idea now how we handle database through Python. We need not go to our database file directly. Through Python we will be handling all the operations. If you want to print it one by one, you can use for loop. Look at the output. Now we are printing databases one by one in the form of tuple. Now we will be displaying a list of tables. We know that tables will be inside a particular database. That's why we must write that fourth parameter, database equals to student. Whichever database you are working with, you will be mentioning it here. The rest of the code will be same, only a small change we are going to do, that is nothing but query. Instead of show databases, we will be writing show tables. So here it is, we got a list of tables from that database. If you want to confirm, come to MySQL and write the same query. Then also you will be getting a list of tables. It's time to move ahead and write some other queries. Now we are displaying the records of the particular table. Always remember, first three steps will be same. We are importing the module, connecting to the database and creating a cursor instance. Let's change the query to display all the records. It will be select star from table name. We are using table name EMP. You can write your table name. Select query also fetches some records, that's why we will be using fetch function. Here we are fetching all the records, that's why we use fetch all. Using for loop, we are printing it one by one. Here is the output. We are getting the records in the form of tuple. You are still curious to check the output in MySQL, then we can come to MySQL, fire the same query and look at the output. Make a note of it while displaying the record. The fourth field is mentioned as decimal because in Python there is no special data type for float. That's why clearly it is mentioning that it's a decimal value. We know that there are three variations of fetch function: fetch one, fetch many and fetch all. We have already discussed fetch all functions. Now let's try fetch one as well as fetch many. Using fetch one function we will be getting one record. Look at the output. Now let's use fetch many function. Let's just display two records. That's why we mention here 2. Look at the output. We got 2 records. You can write the number here as many record as you want. If we write 5, we will be getting 5 records. Here it is in the form of list of tuples. Now let's move ahead and experiment some DML commands. Here is the insert command. We are using one already created table and trying to insert a record into it through Python code. So here is a table named EMP which has 4 fields. Now we already know the first 3 steps will be same. The changes will be done into the query. So the query will be insert into employee values and we will provide 4 values: EMPID, e-name, city and salary. Whenever we are using DML commands, it means we are changing the records. To reflect that changes permanently into the table, we must use commit method. So the program got executed successfully. If you want to confirm, come to VS Code. Look at the list of the records. The record got inserted. Now let's move ahead and try another DML query, that is update. We are going to update the same record which we have recently added. Let's change the city. So the query will be update EMP set city equals to something whatever you want to set, and here is the where clause where EMPID is equals to 112. The other code will be same. It's a DML command. It will not fetch any record. It is changing the records. Let's execute the program. To cross check the changes, come to MySQL and display the list of the records. You can note that the city got changed for the particular EMPID. Here is the third DML command, that is delete. Let's delete the same record which we have modified now. The query will be delete from EMP where EMPID equals to 112. If you want to cross check, come to MySQL, write the query, select star from employee. Here is the list of the records and the record with employee ID 112 got deleted. That is so interesting, right? Generally we do in the same way. Through interface, we manage our database. Try to do this. Whenever you will go to supermarket, check their software. Till now we have done a separate operations. Now let's write this complete program where we will be creating a table through Python, inserting data also and display the list of the records. So the structure will look like this. First 3 statements are same. First we will create the table, insert records and display. So let's work out. You can create any table of your choice. The syntax of the query will be exactly same. Here we are creating product table with 3 fields: PID, PName and price. Mention its data type too. After creating table, now we can insert records into it. So we are going to insert 3 records. The query will be little longer, that's why it is suggested to store it in a variable. Make sure to write the query in triple quotes. In this way, the 3 queries are ready. Now it's time to execute it. So with the execute function, we are going to execute all 3 queries. In this way, 3 records got inserted to the table. Let's display it using select star from table name query. Select query will fetch something. For that we need fetch function. We are using fetch all, and now let's print it. Commit function I have written after insert itself because there only we are committing the changes. After that only we are displaying it. In this way these 3 functionalities done: create table, insert records and display record. Let's execute the program. Look at the output. We got 3 records what we have inserted. Now also, do you want to cross check it in the MySQL whether it is ready or not? Then do it. Here is the structure of the table and here are the records of the table. Now we will be working on the parameterized query. How to send the parameter to the query. Let's check out the simple program for the same. We are displaying the record based on product ID, and that product ID we will be sending to the query. For that we are using format function. Generally format function is used, that's why we will be also using the same. Hope you know how to use the format function. There will be query inside the triple quotes. Wherever you want to replace the value, you will be mentioning one placeholder and the value will be passed through format function. In the same way, you can write update query, insert query and delete query by passing the values. Here PID will work as a primary key, so we will be getting only one record. So instead of fetch all, we will be using fetch one function and printing it. After executing the program, here is the output. We got the required record. Here is the product with PID 101. So in this way, I would suggest you to practice update, insert and delete query with parameter. Instead of initializing it, generally we take the input. So in this way, you can take the input and pass that value to the query. When we execute, we will enter the value that will get passed. And if that record doesn't exist, you will get none. Hope you got an overall idea how to connect Python with MySQL and how to handle all the operations of database through Python. So student, remember the technology you see in the surrounding, it's programming in action. In the next video, we will solve PYQS on the interface of Python with MySQL to sharpen our understanding. Till then, stay motivated, keep practicing, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more learning.